I know. Okay, we're back anyway. Please tell me the question. No, I won't. Right, James Griffin, Red Rock Canyon, was rated 113 at his peak. He eventually won a maiden off 103. This sounds very countermeasure-ish to me. After 21 races, beating 66 rated by a length. But that is absolutely countermeasure possibilities in 4 or 5 races' time. I mean, and the problem you've got now is, of course, that Roger Charlton does not want to put this horse in a maiden for fear of getting beat and destroying, effectively, the aura around countermeasure. At the moment, he's got a 112 rated horse. Why does he want to triumph for Jumpmont? Why would you want to try and win a maiden with it? Pointless.
Well, I suspect his first port of call is to act as a pacemaker again, because he's doing a jolly good job, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
but he has a dilemma, doesn't he? You put it in a maiden and then a 70 horse beats you.
No, don't think he's got any dilemma. Just carry on running and doing what he's doing now, and it seems to be working. So
you don't have any sympathy for the animals that
I don't think
run on tracks and put their hearts on the line. I don't think one of them might like to just win one race.
I don't think Countermeasure's too fussed. I think he's doing a great job.
Well, I think you've got no heart. 2 nice emails. Shows like this always read out nice emails. As of yet, we haven't had a nasty one to read out. We will read it out if we get one. But Michael says, I'm not a massive fan of flat racing, but Ask the Handicapper, the best racing show on TV. Jump season soon. Hashtag Ask the Handicapper. And also, John Craigs says, always brilliant viewing. Ask the Handicapper. Says, you're brilliant and he loves you. So that's good news. Right. Shall we get on to this Kubler question?
Yes, please.
Now, let me find it because, of course, this is a good one. This is from Kubler Racing. You know, Danny and his missus, really, really good outfit and intelligent. Both of them very, very clever people. Anyway, they say, basically we're talking about weights here. Why are the weights of the jockeys when they weigh in after a race, not disclosed to the public, given that as a handicapper, handicappers base their calculations on those weights? In other words, a jockey could go out and ride in torrential rain, it could lash down, or they could have something to eat or drink after they've weighed out. The actual weights that you go by in your whole system, your whole handicapper's computer, that laptop thing you've got in front of you there, every single fact on that is actually incorrect.
Every single fact on this is correct.
But it's based on incorrect information.
No, it's based on correct information.
No, it's not.
Because?
For exactly the reason the Googlers have just said. You're taking the weights of the jockeys at face value rather than real value.
We're not.
Explain.
We take the feed that the clerks of the scales give us, which includes whatever overweight.
Sorry, the feed. What's the feed?
Well, they feed down the system, and we'll know exactly what weight they've carried.
So why is that not made public?
They should be.
Why isn't it not?
Well, you'd have to ask the BHA that.
Hold on. Are you not from the BHA?
Yes, but I'm just a pawn in the game.
Well, why have we got just a pawn in the game? Do we need to get a different? Are you not chief?
Of handicapping, yes, but there's a lot of other people who are more important than me who you probably should be asking.
In that case, Phil Smith, name the person who is denying us this information.
Well, I don't know is the honest answer. So
you don't know who you are working with at the BHA?
I think it's an issue that is under debate, and I hope at some point in time they will be published.
But this is the kind of thing the Racing Post, if they're watching, should be picking up on. I didn't know this was under debate.
Well, why should you? There's lots of things discussed by the BHA that you don't know about.
Name me another thing.
No.
OK, but it is an interesting topic, isn't it?
It is an interesting topic, and I totally agree with them. It should be published. All that information should be in the public domain. There's other things I think should be published as well, but it's only a personal opinion. You know, I think breathing operations should be put in the public domain as well. But that's just me speaking. At the moment, it's not BHA policy.
It's fascinating. I want to go back to this point, though. What you could tell me, and I don't see any reason why you should coy up like a coil here, worried about whichever this nameless person is going to do to you after the show. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest differential you've come across from the actual weight that a punter would be told about a jockey weighing and the actual weight your exclusive under-the-table feed has come across?
£1.
Oh, I was hoping it would be a bit more substantial than that.
Yeah, £1.
So effectively, we're all £1 out compared to
No,
you.
you're not all £1 out because it only happens, on.
I find that hard to believe.
Only happens very occasionally.
So there's no jockeys drenched with rain. It's only a pound.
Sorry, if you have a situation where all the jockeys weigh in £1 over, or whatever over, because of rain, we'll get an email from the clerk of the scales explaining that to us, and we ignore it.
Okay, so I'll rehash my question because you didn't answer it the first time.
Okay.
What is the biggest differential that you've ever experienced, whether it's to do with rain, whether it's all the field, half the field, 2/6 of the field, that has come in?
Well, let me, in general circumstances, £1, but obviously, let's say it was £3. Everybody knows that anyway because the jockey is punished for that, right? Because that's an offence. So there have been.
Well, it's not an offence if it's raining.
No, not if it's raining. But if on a dry day,
Right.
one jockey weighs in £3 over, then there's a punishment. So but that's in the public domain, right?
Yeah.
You asked me a slightly different question, and the answer is £1.
Okay. It's an interesting topic, though, because it's all about accuracy. I mean, we've just...
It's a good topic,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting topic, and obviously the Kublers have contacted a handicapper on occasion wondering about a rating, and the handicapper will have told them it's because your jockey weighed in £1.
So there's
over.
history here, is that what you're saying?
Well, I suspect that's the only way.
There's
they would have-
needle.
That's not no needle. They've just found out that information in an inquisitive phone call, and it's interested them as it should do.
It's an interesting topic, though, because when we've remeasured all the tracks to the millimetre, and yet now we find out we're dealing with pounds here and there that might or might not be there. It's not right for us, is it, in the punting world? When every pound does count.
I've given you my answer.
Countermeasure could be 112.
I've given you my answer.
Could be 111.
I'll guarantee he did not weigh in overweight.
No, well, Willie Twiston-Davies is absolutely nothing of him. There's no way he could weigh in overweight. There was a betting coup at Roscommon with Charlie Burns. The Gambler has tweeted in and says, and this is really just a personal opinion, it's not really too much to do with the facts, because at the end of the day there's not really much you can say about that. I wouldn't have thought, although I haven't prepped you. Maybe there is lots you can say. But he says, what's Phil's personal professional opinion of betting coups? Does he take satisfaction from seeing the bookies beat?
No, I think it's bad for racing. I think that particular one was bad for racing. We have horses run poorly on a day-to-day basis for a whole variety of reasons. Generally, trainers will, if they know, they'll contact us and tell us. They'll tell the stewards after the race, whatever. And very often, when they give a reason, if the horse has got a deteriorating profile, we'll probably still drop it. If for example, if they say a horse has bled, and we look at its overall profile, and it's clearly bled in previous races as well, we may well still drop it. So when horses have been out of form and they come and win, and they win at 20 to 1, 16 to 1, 25 to 1, I've got no issue with that whatsoever, right? But I have a real issue when a horse has been completely out of form, and for whatever reason it's backed off the boards because connections have information there which is not available to the general public. And I personally think, and it's a personal view, it's not, may or may not be the BHA view, but I personally believe that that's very, very bad for racing. It's difficult enough for punters without having a situation like that.
Okay,
And when,
fair enough.
and when it happens with 3 horses on the same day, though it is one very interesting point. I will tell you about the middle of the treble, Mr. Smith, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly,
Ran again.
on the 24th of September last year, the horse was entered in Britain, and we refused to give it a rating.
Any reason why?
We didn't have sufficient information on which to base a fair rating.
If that horse had been entered by a different trainer, if Aidan O'Brien, say, had entered that horse, was it Charles Burns that you thought, this fella knows more than us, or was it the horse?
It's the horse, and we often give Charles Burns' horses a rating. In fact, as far as I know, that's possibly the only Charles Burns horse that we've ever refused.
Are you scared of Charles Burns?
Well, that's the only horse of Charles Burns's yard, I think, I may be wrong, but I think that's the only horse that I can remember as ever refusing a horse from his yard before, and that's the only one, Mr. Smith.
On that basis, though...
He's had winners in Britain on many, many occasions. We've been perfectly happy to give his horses what we consider a fair mark, but that one particular horse, we refused.
But...
So in answer to your question, doesn't matter who the trainer is, it's the horse that's the key.
Absolutely. So there was only one horse. But however, when you sit late at night, Mrs. Smith, preparing your cocoa, when you sit at the table and you see a Charles Burns entry in a race where you have to give the horse a rating, do you sit there sweating and thinking, this guy, the problem is this guy knows the system better than us?
Well, clearly not, because otherwise we would have probably refused more of his horses, and we've only ever refused this
You
one.
can't refuse people's horses, though.
Well, we jolly well
You need
can.
a reason.
No, exactly. We have a reason.
But presumably Mr. Smith had no form to rate him on.
We can always create a reason. We have insufficient information upon which to base a rating. There's our reason.
When you say you always can create a reason,
There's the reason.
You'd make up reasons, would you?
No, that's the reason. I've just given you the reason.
If you were too scared, you'd just make one up.
No, the reason is we have insufficient data upon which to base a rating.
Okay.
That's our reason.
Paul says, can or does it ever happen where a horse that doesn't win can be raised more than the winner in a race?
Yes.
Again, if you could just expand after the one-word answer, that would be terrific for the show as a whole.
All right. Yes. Let's say you've got a situation where a horse is 10 lengths clear and it makes an absolutely catastrophic blunder at the last. It loses all momentum, gets going again, and you've got a situation where it finishes second, then we've almost certainly raised that horse more than the horse that went past it.
Okay.
And there are other similar occasions like that where horse is badly hampered, or et cetera, et cetera. So yes, it's possible.
Lots of reaction to the show already, and it's all good, really. No, it is. I mean, there's nothing bad, but it's like some of it isn't obviously absolutely agreeing.
Yeah.
Andy says, just loving the show. Kublers have been back on.
Good.
They got no needle.
Okay.
Absolutely no needle with you at all.
Good.
You get a Christmas card, all that kind of thing.
Okay, that's good.
But they say it's wrong that the BHA aren't giving punters full information. And to be fair to you, you've agreed with that, haven't you?
I haven't said it's wrong. I've said that this is the situation.
You said they should.
I said this is the situation. Should it be in the public domain? I believe it should. There's no right or wrong.
On the basis that...
There's no right or wrong.
On the basis that you're saying it should be in the public domain, if it's not in the public domain, therefore it has to be wrong that it's not.
No, it's just an opinion. If I have an opinion and someone else's opinion is different, doesn't mean that their opinion is wrong. It just means it's different.
Who are you afraid of worrying, Phil?
It's just a straight...
Who are you afraid of at BHA?
You asked me for a straight answer. That's a straight answer, isn't it?
You're sounding like a man who's scared of someone in authority.
No.
You're sounding like I occasionally feel. Let's go to... This is quite a fun one. Jake. If Air Force Blue was put into a handicap now, what rating would you give him?
That's an interesting question.
It is.
Well, first of all, obviously, it's been a huge disappointment. I believe that he was 124 as a 2-year-old, and I noticed about a month or 6 weeks ago in the Irish Turf Club ratings that Gary had dropped him to 118, and I believe at the moment he's been deleted from their file, so he hasn't got a rating. So the first thing I would do is I would contact him and say, if he were entered in a handicap for you, what would you put him on? I suspect he'd probably be... At the moment, I'd personally probably let him run off 110. I don't think he'd win off 104, to be honest. Well, he's disappointing, isn't he?
Yeah. But then again, you go back to the Dewhurst form, don't you? Yeah. Massart. Done absolute... Well, not won a race.
Yeah, but
no, listen, hear me out. I hear you out.
It's not the form.
What do you mean it's not the form?
Well...
OK, Massart, since the Dewhurst. Second to Galileo Gold, then poor in the Derby, which you obviously could say is Sanus per Aquam, 2 runs since the Dewhurst, tailed off against Ortad at the Curragh, tailed off at the Curragh against Sir Isaac Newson. Tash Week, since the Dewhurst, tailed off behind, well, not tailed off, but well beaten behind. In fact, hasn't actually run at all since it was nearly last at St. Cloud somewhere. Adventurous, since the Dewhurst, has done 0.
Yep.
The form is shocking.
The form is shocking. But he did have good races before that, where the form's been okay. So yes, you're right, the Dewhurst form isn't great, but he was clearly a jolly good 2-year-old. For whatever reason, he hasn't done it as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, clearly an exalted rating, 124. Look good, though, in the end of the classifications. We'll be back after this, Phil. We've got to go for a break.